All right. Well, welcome back to Chris Frank. I'm sorry, Chris Frank Games. All right, let me do that over. Let me do that over for the show. The live show will be fucked up. But
Screw you, people
yeah,
watching live.
yeah.
Person.
All all right. All right. Well, welcome back to Chris Frank Games, season 2019. That's how they do it these days, right, Frank? Everything's a season
Yeah, well,
now.
it's Chris Frank Grant. God, I'm stuck today. Chris Frank
We all
Chris
right.
Frank Games 2K19.
Oh yeah, there you go. 2K plus
I
19.
can't say my own name today, apparently.
Yes. Well, I had the same problem too. That Frank and the Grames, it's just messing stuff up. But
Yeah,
yeah, my name is Chris Stotts, and then that's Frank White. Frank, how's it going? Happy New Year.
it's going pretty good.
The first show of the New Year and the real first show after Christmas. How was the white? Do you have a white Christmas this year?
Yeah, it was pretty snowy in Wisconsin.
A little bit. Like it snowed. I was actually in Wisconsin, and I think on what Monday actually, right? No wait, that wasn't
Oh
actually
no,
Christmas Eve,
the weather can really vary around here.
or maybe you were more up north, right, by Eau Claire or something,
Yeah,
or
well,
not?
Wisconsin Dells.
Oh,
And
okay.
then spent some time in Duluth too over the holidays, and it's like driving through three different biomes of
Oh yeah.
like as far as winter is concerned. Like it was like Duluth was actually really pretty up there because it was unseasonably warm, which does not actually mean it's warm enough to melt the snow. So like there's the big heavy snow, so we're driving up there. And the kids are just asleep in the back, and I'm doing the dad thing of like, "Hey kids, look out the window! It's really pretty." And they're just like, "Whatever."
Uh,
We're children. We're toddlers and babies. We don't care.
well, they better appreciate that because that won't be there'll be no snow
Yeah,
when they're 30 years old. That's for
we're
damn
gonna
sure.
have to go farther north to see the. But it was where it's the wet snow and it clings to the trees, and so everything like has that layer on it.
Yeah, the shine. The extra,
Mhm.
there's like clouds, but it's still like very bright outside because of the reflecting snow. Yeah, great. Well, did you get any nice video game presents or
No,
how'd that go?
no. But I did. We talked about this on the show earlier. I got my son, my baby son, the video game controller toy that the Konami code works on that briefly went viral, and so I can confirm that yes, it does work.
Nice.
And it did some testing because I was like, okay, I got to make sure I'm not just like that. This doesn't just accidentally come up when you hit, B or something. So I did some testing, and there is definitely a special sequence of sounds that happens when you do the Konami code. There's no start, so it's just BA. But like some game, like the Konami code, didn't always have the BA start. Sometimes
Mhm.
it was just BA.
Is there a YouTube share button on the controller?
No, well, I mean,
A
I
Twitch
think
share?
maybe that is the wheel that clicks. Because it's a children's toy. It's only got one stick. I'm like, what is this? It's not dual analog. You guys, how can you play anything with this? And the shoulder buttons are just like a wheel that clicks and like a little like seesaw thing that clicks. And,
Yeah. Hey, it's kind of like the star square of the
yeah.
PlayStation. Well, I wonder, because I was just thinking, I wonder, did that kind of become the Tickle Me Elmo of Christmas time? Probably not, right? Maybe with the
No.
nerd crowd. I wonder how hard it was. But did you get it before the
Yeah, like
meme
no,
came out?
I had it wrapped up. Like I did not learn about the Konami code thing until after it was already
Wow.
in wrapping paper under the tree. So
I'm amazed you even recognize. I'd be like, hey, I got that for my kid. I would never recognize these toys because I'm sure they all look the same. And then also, we talk about this tweet that made it go viral. I wonder if that guy works for that toy company. I wonder, right? I mean, you don't put that in and not let anyone know about it, right?
yeah, well, or yeah, maybe it's an engineered thing. They're like somebody make it do the thing. Somebody's gonna put it on YouTube. Somebody will try it. Somebody will find it.
Someone will find it. So,
and then it will go on YouTube, and it's like, we'll be more organically viral, but we won't be able to control. We just got to make sure that it happens before Christmas.
all right, well,
So
nice.
they're probably sending out press releases like, "Hey, has anyone tried putting the Konami code, and making a viral video?"
Hey, here's anonymous. You know, all these journalists are talking about these anonymous tip lines. You can send stuff in there. Hey, here's an anonymous tip line. If you put the Konami code in this toy, it has the Contra theme now. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna talk about some video games. And Frank, I was kind of dreading the show because I'm like, man, what was going on? What was going on in the world of video games? And
Not a lot.
actually, I went back to my notes, and a lot of stuff happened. Look, I guess the week of Christmas or something like that at Christmas, because I have kind of some fun stories here.
Well, not a lot's happening
actually.
right now because I was really
Yeah.
bored at work this week,
Yeah.
and I can confirm that there's not a ton of news.
But I don't know about you, Frank, but I did get a lot to I did get to play some video games this week traveling. So we'll talk about that. And I don't know, do you have any big video games to discuss?
No, nothing big. Like I played a lot of video games lately. I am all about the breadth, not depth, right now. Breadth.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've played like an hour or a half hour of a lot of stuff. So I have a lot of things to talk about, but not a whole lot to say about it.
Nice.
The individual thing.
Well, I brought my Switch, but I did not bring my PS4, and I had definitely had PS4 withdrawal symptoms while I was away. So you can only, play Zelda so much before you want to play some games with guns, all that stuff. But we will talk about the games we've been playing later on. And Frank, we're going to start with, a story that's near and dear to your heart. A download that you can hack, I guess you could even call this, that you can download to your Roomba, your robot vacuum cleaner, that takes the telemetry data from its path and recreates Doom levels out of it. So you can play your living room and coffee table in your Doom game. Pretty cool.
We finally automated myhouse.wad.
Yeah. And turn your living room into a WAD file.
WAD. I don't know how you actually pronounce it.
So, Frank, you got 2 kids and the wife and all that. Do you guys have a Roomba? A vacuum cleaner?
Do actually, but it is not the fancy kind that records We have a dumber one.
Do you need that? I think it just takes the data, though, right? I don't know this thing. Did you look into this?
The one I have does not remember where things are in the house. You got to go a couple levels up for that.
Oh, okay.
Literally, all it does is just kind of meander around in a pattern. It reacts. It doesn't make a plan. It just goes in a pattern and then reacts to what it finds.
Yeah.
And then it's got an IR thing that it can find its way back to the dock sometimes.
All right.
But
I guess.
No, so I do not. Unfortunately, I do not have one that will actually record the telemetry data.
So you got the base Roomba. You don't have the Roomba Pro, right?
No.
Roomba 4 Pro.
It doesn't empty itself or anything like that.
Jeez. Well, cat won't even do that, but yeah. So that's pretty cool. This actually got me intrigued about these Roombas because these Roombas have been around for 20 years now, right? Mm-hmm. Frank, I looked online on Amazon. These things are still going for $300. Are you kidding me?
Well, mine I think was a Black Friday deal at some point.
And
so I got the $300 one for $175 or something.
Jeez, I'm
that.
sure they go.
They're not cheap. Well, and how they get you. This is the scam. This is the part you don't think about. It's already we haven't had it that long. It was Black Friday this year. It's already bugging me for or no, actually it wasn't Black Friday. It was Prime Day. Whatever. Anyway, I've had it for a few months. And it's already bugging me to replace parts.
Oh yeah.
They're oh, the brushes are wearing out. You should buy more brushes. I'm I get it. This is I see your game now, Roomba.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say microtransactions. I thought that was coming up, but
Sort of like it's the DLC for like
yeah.
newer brushes.
Well, it's kind of like the water, the brewed out water filters. You don't really need to replace them every 3 years, right? They're good, right? They're good. All right, Roomba. And do they actually vacuum? I don't know if they actually vacuum very well, but okay.
It does well. It won't pick up like big things, but it definitely gets stuff because when I unload it, like when I dump the container out, there's always tons of dust and crap in there. So yeah, so it's never going to be your main cleaner. You can never 100% rely on it. We got it to replace the dogs. The dogs are dead, so let's get a Roomba.
Yep. Roombas don't need training.
Yeah, so anyway, video games. You can make the Doom level based on, but I'm pretty sure you'd have to like clean the level up a little. Like,
yeah, you got a vacuum cleaner as your weapon.
That's not even what I meant. That's a good joke. No, I just meant like it's gonna give you like. Your coffee table will just be like a giant column in the middle of a big empty room, and from this, I think it procedurally kind of generates monsters and stuff to just kind of plop down in there. So it's mostly automated, but let's not kid ourselves. You're not going to be making an interesting Doom level out of your living room.
That'd be cool. Like put some hampers around, some tables, create your perfect Doom level in your apartment, in your living room. All right.
But I mean, maybe it would be a good start because I remember from back in the day, Doom levels are really, really hard to make.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, they're you have to do everything exactly right, or like it causes catastrophic problems.
Yeah, well, it's not 3D. It's like it's simulating 3D.
Like,
it's messed up.
It's not like a modern game where they give you like the mods, like tools, and you just like, all right, this room, and I'll kind of stretch it out to this size and put it here. It's like it's like you're doing an AutoCAD thing, and you have to do everything in the right order and make sure like things are connected and have the right data points assigned to them.
Yep.
Or it'll just end up being like a howling void of repeating pixels.
Yep. All right. Well, he was kind of a fun story that came out right around Christmas. A Lost Sim City NES game cart. Actually, two of them came up for auction, I believe, in Kansas City. I'm probably wrong about that. But basically, these were debugging cartridges for the SimCity game that was never released. Of course, SimCity was one of the launch titles for the American Super Nintendo. And it's like it's like a video game the video game history. Frank, help me out. Some organization that does these video game history stuff. Had a really nice write-up on it, and actually had the story about SimCity, which is actually pretty interesting because Will Wright was making a helicopter game for, I guess, the Amiga, for the NES or something like that, and he found that making the cities in the helicopter game was actually more fun than the actual helicoptering. So that was his next game, and he made so much money off that helicopter game that he had plenty of time to make it and all that stuff. And so apparently the NES version was very similar to the SNES version. So I guess not a whole lot of technical difference. But did you get a chance to check this out?
I heard about it. I didn't look in depth or anything. But
yeah. Well, pretty interesting.
Assuming it's one of those things where they're like, it's the end of the life cycle. Let's just move this up a console.
Yeah, exactly. I got canceled or whatever. But were you? Did you play SimCity for the Super Nintendo? Did you play that one?
I had that on like my old 486.
Okay.
I played SimCity.
Nice.
Which makes more sense anyway. Like it's a pain in the butt to use a Super Nintendo controller to control cursors like that.
Yeah.
Not that SimCity is like the most like demanding game, but
yeah. Well, it was running on the NES, so for sure. They're actually talking about the how they kind of changed it for the Super Nintendo, how they gamified it more. Because for the computer version, like they give you like a loan on the Nintendo version, and the computer one, I guess it's way harder to get money. and all that stuff. And then they also have those scenarios where Bowser is like destroying stuff, and it's a lot more. And then I guess the the sports stadiums and all that stuff. So I was probably a little bit too young. I mean, I did play this game, and my older brother like played this game like a lot. So I was probably a little bit too young to appreciate it, but it's a really solid game for sure.
Yeah, I was more into like, cause I think I was like SimCity 2000 was
Yeah.
what I played, and I had like I got like a pack at one point that had like SimCity, Sim Ant, Sim Life, and Sim Life, or was it Sim Earth? I don't remember. It was the one where you actually had to like breed species. That one was intense.
Well, I remember getting Sim Earth for like $30 at like Blockbuster used game sale or something like that, and that game sucked dick. Sim dick. And it was like a planet, but you make like I didn't really understand it at all.
Yeah.
So
it was funny how the big difference between Sim Life, which was like a proper sim, and you got to deal with like, you know, the speed at which willow trees breed, versus Sim Ant, which was practically an arcade game by comparison. Because you were the black ants and you fought the red ants and you took over squares in the yard, and eventually you drove the humans out of the house.
And City Skylines, I guess, has really taken over the mantle of these SimCity games.
No one likes new SimCity, so everyone's like, "Wow, there's like 5 games that are basically the same." And
it's
I guess
what's the latest one? SimCity 5000, or is it just SimCity?
No, they just called it SimCity.
Yeah,
and tried to make it all online and stuff, and
Skylines is on the Switch, so I wonder if that's. I should maybe check it.
It's on most consoles.
Yeah, is it on PS4? Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
If Farming Simulator 2019.
Well, come on now.
Skylines on there.
There's people that stream those games and get a shit ton of streamers. It's kind of astounding. It's really amazing. Yeah. It's really amazing.
Or the truck simulator guys. Mm-hmm. Those guys, Euro Truck Simulator. There's some real rock stars there. Mm-hmm. For some reason, that's not even sarcasm. They really are.
Rock stars. All right. Well, you know what's not a rock star is the PS Classic, the PlayStation Classic. This must have been a dog during Christmas, because soon thereafter, I think it was basically the day after, the 26th. I think Wario64 was tweeting everyone had this thing for $60, pretty much the next day after Christmas, as opposed to $100 on sale. So, in comparison, the NES Classic, the Super NES, those have not gone on sale yet.
Well, I feel like they totally it's literally the exact opposite of the NES Classic, in that I think they made too many. And if you remember, the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic were both very supply constrained, and we were speculating on this show that it was because Nintendo was worried about being stuck with too many, too much inventory and having to discount.
And this is the opposite of that.
Nintendo had the more popular item and played it too safe, and Sony has gone and not learned either lesson.
Yeah. I'm actually I'm a little shocked because this had a bad rap on pretty much every video game channel and podcast and all that stuff, but those are the hardcore video game fans, and your average mom and pop grandma does not listen to the Giant Bombcasts. And so when she sees something like this for little Jimmy, she's like,
Jimmy doesn't give a shit, though.
I guess.
That's the thing. The people who would be disappointed with this are the target market.
Yep.
NES and Super Nintendo, they have a lot more nostalgia value than PlayStation 1. Not that PlayStation 1 doesn't. I mean, especially now, there's kind of a resurgence in PS1 era graphics styles in indie games, but it's the big nerds, it's the hardcore nerds who are actually caring about this stuff.
Yeah, there's no Mario, there's no Zelda characters a grandma can latch onto. It's oh yeah, And also maybe that $100 that might have been like just too much for like a console that's like 20 years old.
Yeah.
That's half a new PlayStation, right? Why not just get a new PlayStation? All right.
And also, unless you're like a super ahead of the curve nerd who's like, wow, these graphics are good again. It's like, for a long time, that generation was considered to be like had aged the worst of all.
Yeah.
Vintage hardware.
I like, what, the PS1 like Metal Gear 3 graphics. I think it has a certain amount of charm. But yeah, some of those graphics are like the Toshinden shit. Yeah, that stuff looks bad. Looks bad for sure.
There's a reason that it's mostly like horror games that are coming about now with that look.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we're gonna stick with PlayStation here for a moment. We talked about the Xbox One, or I should say Xbox, whatever X. Is it one? Yeah, that's console, right?
Yeah,
Xbox One.
One.
The Xbox games last week or two. Now here we got our PlayStation titles. Steep, the Ubisoft kind of downhill racer thing, I guess. Winter sports thing.
It's the open world snowboarding winter sports game.
Yeah. So
I played it.
Oh, did you actually play it? You already played it already?
I fired up a lot of the that's what I was saying. I have all these like I fired up this and Amplitude. So
all right, cool. So Portal Knights, I have no idea what that is. Can you just tell me what that is really quick? What is Portal Knights?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
I did not install that one. I think that's some kind of RPG.
Is it Portal in medieval times? Hopefully,
No.
Probably not.
No.
Zone of Enders HD collection. That actually kind of makes me wish I had a PS3 to play that. So.
But it's also like Konami. What do you, Konami? What's going on? You have, like, why would you make the HD collection of PlayStation Plus so soon after you did like the remaster of Zone, like the one that I've been playing. I can't even remember what it's called, the Anubis or whatever. But the PS4 one that's got PSVR.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I can't remember. It's it's such a long string of nonsense words. I can't remember what it's called. But like, there's a PS4 version of this out right now, and it's just starting to like get discounted. And Konami has done a terrible job of promoting it. Like, it came out, right up against Red Dead Redemption.
So Sony's like, here's some money, and they're like, okay, why not?
Yeah, well, no, they're just stepping on their own feet again, because Konami cannot do anything right ever.
Now, is this a HD collection that actually sucks? Because
no, I believe it was good for the time. It's just that there is a HD-er version of. I mean, I guess this is like both games versus, just the second one, which is the PS4 one.
These are PS2 games, right? These are just basically PS2 games that are HD. Okay, all right, all right. Amplitude.
That's fun.
Amplitude. What is Amplitude? Is that like a snowboarding game?
Amplitude is so I guess I'm going to be stepping on my games we've been playing here, because to describe it is also to describe my experience with it, which is to describe the entirety of my playtime with it. Which is, Amplitude is harmonics attempting to
right. It's
like,
the next guitar band, right?
Like, rock band.
Yeah.
So it's rock band. With a spaceship, and like, not, you just play it with a regular controller, and it's really weird. Like, that you're on a track with like three. The controls are weird because there's three like tracks on each thing. Like, so you've got three buttons, and it's the top buttons. So it's like the right like shoulder button, R1 or whatever, is the middle, and then the right trigger is the right, and then the L1 is the left, and the left trigger does not appear to do anything. I'm like, maybe on higher difficulty levels, like all four are in use or something, but it was just really hard to get my brain around. And basically, it's Guitar Hero without like the goofy peripherals, which, let's not kid ourselves, were the whole point. And also, this game exists in a much better form called Thumper,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So
isn't just Thumper? Why would you not
yeah,
just
well,
play Thumper? There?
it's older than Thumper. Like this predates Thumper,
Yeah,
but this is some weird hybrid game that has no reason to exist, and I don't think anybody likes it.
and it was a mobile game too, wasn't it? I seem to think it was a mobile game
Probably.
too. Yeah. All right,
I don't
sample
know.
two.
What's the one where you can do your own music?
I don't
Like
know.
that's the one. There's like a PC one of these where it's another like spaceship flying on the music track, but you could like upload your own MP3s and it would like auto generate.
I do not.
So yeah. So basically, like it's a crowded field with not a huge audience.
Yeah.
But yes, Amplitude is a spaceship that plays Guitar Hero, and it's not really worth your time.
All right, there you go. It's free. All right. Fallen Legion, Flames of Rebellion for the Vita and the PS4. I guess that sounds like a strategy game. I'm guessing.
Probably.
Super Mutant Alien Assault. That sounds like a twin stick shooter for the PS Vita. I'm guessing. All right, and then we're gonna end it with the Black Mirror. What is this? Baden Spock or something like that?
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch.
This is
Not.
from Lewis Carroll.
I do not actually. I've never watched Black Mirror. I did not watch this. But this is being billed as an interactive movie. So, Frank, you did watch/play this.
Yeah,
All I
I
need
like Black Mirror.
is this better than Night Trap, Frank? You tell me that.
Well, you know, that's like actually a comparison people keep making, but they are not super duper similar in that Night Trap. The like Night Trap is like almost like a reflex thing. Like, you know, you're trying to like catch all the guys and you're like switching between different screens. So the narrative just plays out, you know, the way it's going to play out. And your only like input on it is, do you save people from the guys or not, the bad guys or not? So really there's not, it doesn't branch very much other than like it went on as planned or you failed and start over. So like Bandersnatch is more like a choose your own adventure. And it's very meta because it's a choose your own adventure movie about a guy developing a choose your own adventure game in the 80s. And the game is based on a choose your own adventure book.
Oh yeah.
The choose your own adventure book, the author like went crazy and killed his wife. And, it's not real. Like it's not. Nothing is real.
He went to page 71, kills his wife, and
Yeah.
By the way, there should be a renaissance for choose your own adventure, and I gotta say,
I mean, visual novels are a thing. They exist.
I guess. Remember, choose your adventure is always like the idea of it was like always better than the actually doing it, because I always felt like I got the shitty ass ending. I was like, turn to page 89, and the novel ends. It's like over. It's like, what? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I had one that actually had like RPG elements, like where you actually had to like fight. You have a dice.
Oh yeah.
You had to fight the
That's cool.
monsters, and you had hit points and everything. You had a little like sheet you had to write down. But that was even more dumb because I'm like, oh, this monster killed me. I guess I have to start the book over. I'm not starting the book over.
Yeah.
The monster didn't kill me. Moving on. No. So this is like.
So what decisions do you actually get to make? Like what he decides to do, or like what's the actual interactive part?
They really vary. And it's without, you know, I watched it. We watched it all the way through once, and then got like maybe 3 of the like 5 main endings, and I think there's. Yeah, and it's a little confusing because what constitutes an ending is not 100%. Like you can actually like be done with the Bandersnatch in like 20 minutes if you wanted.
Oh yeah.
Because there are dead ends that kind of are just like go back.
Yeah.
And they just kind of send you back to the last like decision point. So without like poring over this over and over again, it's hard to tell exactly how much changes because there's a lot of like the first choice that comes up is just what cereal you're gonna eat. So like the guy is the main character. He's a game developer. He's got mental problems. He's living with his dad. And like, so the main thing, the first like choice is that your dad has 2 boxes of cereal and is like, hey, which one? What do you want to eat for breakfast? And you pick one, and then later, way later, like near the end, there was like just a random advertisement kind of in the mid ground, like a cutaway, and it was specifically of the one that I had picked in the beginning, and I'm assuming that would have been the other one had I picked that.
Whoa, interactive.
But I couldn't tell you for sure. Because I think that's a lot of ways. I think that's sort of how it works. In that, like, you make a choice, and like there are a few like major choices where it like distinctly branches the story, especially in the third act. But I think a lot of the choices are kind of just like flag you, like, okay, you made this choice, so you've been, you've got you're in zone green or zone red here, and then like later on in the story, it's just like it's gonna give you the green or the red like option, like in the background. I don't know. It's hard. It's very seamless, and like I said, it's almost a flaw in that you can't really tell the whole scope of it as the audience. So like you'll play through a few endings, or you watch through a few endings, and like kind of loop back around, because it gives you the option most of the time to go back. Like I think there's only one ending, and it's not one that I actually got, that like rolls the credits and like forces you to go all the way back to the beginning if you find it. But it doesn't feel as thorough and detailed as it actually is. You're like, okay, if I pick that, game over. I go pick this, it keeps going. I pick that, or I pick this. So it's like. And the narrative, like, it's one of those. It's like it's like a telltale thing. It's sometimes where like you make choices and then the story kind of forces it back on track. But I believe in reality, it's like wildly more complicated than it seems. Which I don't know. I guess that kind of seems like a flaw to me. Where like I feel like all that effort should be more visible to me, but I don't know how they would do that. Because you just kind of you watch it and you're done with it, and you're like, I guess if I would have picked that, it would have gone the other way. And I think there's a lot more under the hood stuff going. But I don't know, it's pretty interesting. It's definitely worth checking out. It's not the meatiest Black Mirror episode, and Black Mirror is not actually like it's kind of polarized at this point. Like people either really love it or kind of hate it. And really, I really like them. They have high production values, and they're good kind of Twilight Zone-y things. But like the Twilight Zone, they tend to have one main point, and they're getting to it, and they kind of hit you over the head with it. And there's not a ton of nuance or character. Like they're not. They're very middlebrow. It's middlebrow art, which is right up my alley. But like some people find them pretentious, and some people on the other end of the spectrum find them thin and kind of dumb. But yeah, so there's not a ton to the story because so much of it is kind of left up to the fact that you've got all these different paths. But it's entertaining, and it's well produced, and it's a period thing. That's fun. One of the you get to pick the music at several times in the movie. Like several of the choices are like, you're on the bus, and like, what is he gonna listen to? The Thompson Twins, or like this, like, now that's what I call music 1981 tape, and you pick one, and then that's the music that actually like plays over the montage of the next scene, kind of thing.
Was that really the tape? Now that's what I call music 81. Was that really a tape?
It's something like that.
Okay, because that didn't exist until like 93 or something. So that's an anachronism right there.
I don't think they're actually called that, but that was a big thing in England. Like I had like a few from the early 90s of like they were called like the best album in the world or whatever,
Oh, okay.
volume whatever, and yeah, it was just like all the hit songs from that year.
All right,
I
just
have
as
like
long
one
as they're
from
not
like
saying.
1992 or something that somebody like recorded onto a cassette for me. But uh, but as far as video games, like it's video game focused in that it's about video games, and I guess I really can't say anything else without getting into
So
major spoilers. But.
So this just kind of makes me think about like a Telltale game. Is it? Would you rather see something like this, like in a game engine, like with video game characters, or do you think this stuff works better with like human beings acting out? Like if this was a Telltale game, would you rather see this? Like, do you think with people? What do you think?
Well, I guess the big difference between this and Telltale games is that there's no QuickTime events and no
Thank God.
and, yeah, and no obviously there's no point and click adventure elements because Telltale games usually have like where you awkwardly walk around the room Resident Evil style and like pick up objects and look at them before the next story thing goes. So for what it is, I would prefer that it was actors and cinematography versus pre-rendered things. Because if you took Bandersnatch and you just made it with CG characters, I'd be like, well, when do I get to do something? But
yeah.
for watching, it's I would say it's closer. It's leaning more movie than game. Like if you've got a meter going, like this is something that's kind of halfway, but it's definitely leaning towards game or movie rather than game.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. All right.
It's definitely amusing, and one of the endings is I found really really funny. It's all bleak stuff, but like there's one ending that gets really meta that cracked me up.
Word. All right. Well, I did get I signed up for that Netflix for like 3 months for free with my PlayStation account, so maybe I should just check that out while I still have Netflix.
I think they said I think it's because it's not long, like it's like 40 to 90 minutes basically, unless you want to go through and find every ending. But like, yeah, it was like a feature length experience for me, like getting, a bunch of the kind of the main endings. They actually have a funny, like kind of ending rating system where there's a video game review show that they have clips of, and like the various endings where the game gets that he's working on. Bandersnatch it's the game where it gets completed under various circumstances. The reviewer will give it different scores, so there's you can kind of rate the endings like that. Like, did you get a 0 out of 5 or a 2.5 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5?
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay, all right, cool. There you go. That's the Bandersnatch Black Mirror movie. All right, cool. So why don't we? Frank, do you have any news before we move on? Guessing no.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the games we've been playing. All right. I am pretty much ready to go here. We can finish this up. All right, I'll go quick, and then.
All right.
We can have you finish it up. All right. We are back, and let me just do a couple quick hits really quick. So, yeah, it's funny. It's like I bring the Switch back home for Christmas and all this stuff. I really don't even want to play it. It's like I really only like. And I didn't bring my dock because I had to have other room for Christmas presents in my bag, so I didn't bring my dock. And I really like playing my Switch like in handheld. So I like playing on the big screen. And fortunately, however, my brother brought his dock because he never uses his dock, so he just lent me his dock and I gave it back to him. So I did that, and I tried to play Splatoon online, but I guess my parents' online connection is not that good because it got disconnected. But so I didn't really play too much. I did try to play Keep Talking Nobody Explodes with my brother, It did go a little bit better than with that one chick from a couple of weeks ago. But still, I don't know. I think if they have a lot of people and everyone's got to be like drinking, and I don't think it's even that funny because there's only like one person and only one person can look at the direction. So I don't. I think the idea of that game is actually more fun than the actual game. And then I had a long way to the airport, so I brought out. I play a little bit more Golf Story, which I've not played for a while. Again, this is a basically a golf RPG, which I kind of set aside, but I thought I would pull it out, and I made a little bit of progress in it. I was actually playing a round of golf in it, and I sucked in the beginning, but then I quickly realized the controls, and I was knocking down birdies. So that was fun again. And then when I got back to Los Angeles here, the first thing I did was play some Battlefield 5 because I was fiending quite a bit, and they got that live game service going on, and a lot of that stuff was not working earlier because it was all bugged out or whatever. And I think it still is bugged out for some people, but for me, I was actually able to complete some rewards, and I was actually able to unlock a gun that they were giving out. So there we go. So that's cool. All right, and then I'm just waiting for PUBG. They're talking about all these like console updates, how it's gonna be coming soon, but they don't give you a date, and how the frame rate's gonna be better and all this stuff. So I'm just gonna like wait until all that stuff actually does come out before I put a significant amount of time into PUBG, because it's just not. It's just the frame rate's like crap. So I'm just not gonna waste my time on it. So okay, that's all I got, Frank. What do you got for us for this week?
Well, real quick, have you heard of that Ring of Elysium game?
Yeah. So yeah, it's the Battle Royale. Basically, it's a 10 cent.
Yeah, but it's like it's a cross between PUBG and Steep, because it's PUBG, but it's all winter.
Yeah,
and
you can have like a snowboard and like an ice climber thing. Yeah, it's in like a winter map too.
I was watching the IGN review of the early access version, and it seemed interesting. It seems like it's funny how these early access games seem to be like in better shape technically than
PUBG. Well, I guess the mobile version actually runs pretty well. And this one guy I used to watch play the computer version, he's playing the mobile version but with his mouse and stuff. So I don't know how he does that, but I should figure that out. And then also, speaking of that winter Ring Elysian, PUBG just released a winter map. So it's like, man, that game comes out with a winter map, and now PUBG is a winter map. So you got your winter map
but
covered.
They don't have snowboards.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
speaking of snowboards, I downloaded Steep because it was free, and it looks pretty.
Oh.
But
is it PS4 Pro enhanced? Is it?
Probably.
Do you notice it all?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. You have to go look it up or like compare yourself. Yeah. But yeah, it's if you like snowboarding, this looks like the game for you. But you probably already do that. But yeah, it's got kind of those Tony Hawkish elements, and but it's also it's not just snowboarding. There's also wingsuit diving and probably a few other things in there. And it's open world, so you can after you finish a race, you can get out your binoculars and just look around on the horizon and find like checkpoints that you can then warp to start new races. And it's all well and good, but for me, it's like playing Just Cause, but there's no guns. Like, I'm like, all right, I rode my snowboard down the mountain game. I even did it as fast as you said. Now what? They're like, well, you're gonna go find a different mountain to go down. I'm like, well, it's like it just seems like it's all the traversal of like a winter Just Cause game, and I'm sure obviously it's much more in depth because you've got your scoring system and you can do stunts and whatnot. But yeah, I'm like, for me, I'm just playing it. I'm like, where's the rest of the game? Snow Nazis are supposed to pop out, and I'm supposed to murder them. What's going on?
Well, wasn't like co-op like a big thing on this? I mean, I'm sure no one's playing this game right now. Well, although it's a PS Plus game, but is there like a co-op portion to it? Do you see friends on there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
There were like at one point, like I started a race and there were other people around, but I had no idea if they were NPCs or not.
Uh,
But I
um,
mean, yeah, I did not play nearly enough to like find out what even all the modes were. But it
so
seemed like I did one that was like kind of just a race, you know, get down the mountain in X amount of time. And then there was another one that was like on more of a like a groomed course with jumps and stuff, and was trying to get a high score. And
so what's the realism? Is it more skate or is it more like SSX? How would you say? Is it arcadey or realistic? Balance?
I don't know
Forza?
enough about either of those games or snowboarding to say.
Yeah, well, okay. Is it arcade? Oh, Tony Hawk, definitely arcadey. Skate, you're literally your sticks are your legs, and you have to do all the kick flips with your thumbs and all that stuff.
No, it's simpler than that. It was kind of like you hold down the trigger to kind of crouch and release to jump, and then you move the sticks independently of each other to like ride Goofy, I think they called it, where you like to slow yourself down, how you kind of like move your board sideways. I have a bad knee. I don't do any of this stuff. So I don't know about any of it. And also it's boring to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not a Winter Olympics guy. Or
All right.
sports guy.
So Steep probably not going to be on your hard drive for
No,
very long.
it's not gonna stay there for very long, no.
Yeah. All right.
But it looks really nice. Like they got I mean the game has been around for a while, so I'm sure like it's, you know, Red Dead Redemption kind of steals its thunder, like, oh yeah, we also have really good looking snow that you can trudge through. And you'll get sick of that part of the game real fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe if they had like cowboys talking to each other while you're going down the mountain, would that be better?
Instead of going down the hill fast, let's go up the hill slowly while talking.
Audio logs playing.
But yeah, it looks really nice.
Cool. It's free. It's free, you dumb suckers.
And then yeah, so I played Amplitude as well, which we already talked about. Like that's literally all I have to say about Amplitude. This was not a good I was excited about this month for PS Plus, and so far it's been a huge disappointment. But yeah, other things I played. So I don't know if the PlayStation Winter Sale is still going on. Probably isn't when you audience members listen to this. But Fly Wrench was only 69 cents. So I was like, well, I'd be stupid not to buy this. Even though playing Fly Wrench on a big screen TV kind of gives you a headache. So for those of you not in the know, Fly Wrench is by the Nidhogg guy, and it is a fast-paced, arcadey kind of puzzle game, I guess. I don't know. You're a little white line, and you can flap to gain altitude. Like you fall down, and then you can like flap to raise yourself up and kind of fly. But when you flap, you turn red. And then you also have a button that turns you green and makes you spin. And then you bounce off walls while you are green and spinning. And the shtick is that you have to get to the end of all of these little maps with barriers in the way of various colors. And you have to be that color in order to pass through the barrier. So, you know, a simple map would be just like kind of a V shape. You start on one end and you have to flap up, but then there's a white line at the very middle of the map. So you have to flap up to, you know, to get the altitude to kind of get over the hump. But you have to make sure that you are not flapping when you pass that white line, because when you're not flapping, you turn back white and you can go through the line, but you're also, you know, losing altitude. And it's extremely fast paced, and it's the game like just like when you start, it just drops you. Like, you know, if you die and then your wife asks you something and you look up and you're like answering her question, while you were answering that question, you died like 10 more times because your little thing just falls, die, fall, die, fall, die. And it restarts very fast, kind of Hotline Miami-ish. And yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I think I like it better on the arcade cabinet though, because having it like right in your face with this big screen, and then like every time you die, it resets to the beginning, and it like your eyes like take a second to adjust to the reconfigured screen, and then like you just die again. Um, but it can be very frustrating that like it takes you a million times, and then like you keep just accidentally like flapping too hard and slamming into the wall right at the beginning over and over again, and then you like get through the first part of the level you're on, and then immediately die right after, and then or you do everything perfectly, and then you totally like screw up right at the end and just slam into a wall. Uh, and as the game goes, it adds more and more nonsense. Like eventually, it adds pink lines, which simply can't be passed through at all. And that's to stop you, I guess, from kind of cheesing the bouncy green mode, where you can not die from the regular yellow walls. But no, it's for 69 cents though. It's definitely check it out. It's super fast paced. Yeah, and you're like, why can't I do it? And then like when you do it, and you're like, oh my god, it was so easy. Because when you actually complete a level, it always is like the simplest way. And you're like, because I think it's a good game for speedrunners. Because when you actually do a level perfectly, you do it with like 3 button presses. And then you're just like, how the hell did I do that? I'm magic. And then like you get to the next one and you're like desperately flapping, and then you're just fucking it up left and right. But yeah, it's a very simple game, very simple graphics, but very worth checking out if you're into that kind of arcade experience. I liked playing it on the arcade cabinet. I like to imagine it as a game actually in the 90s, and like how they would do that with quarters. And I'm like, they would have to at least give you 1 life per cent. If you put in a quarter, you would have to have at least 25 lives for this to be anywhere remotely fair. Because like the first trophy you get is the dying 100 times.
Oh yeah.
Like, and that's easy to get that one. So I'm sure there's some people out there who are like, I got like every planet unlocked, you know, before I got the trophy for dying 100 times. And to them, I say, fuck you.
Screw yourself.
Yeah. And other things that I've been playing, more Ace of Seafood. Haven't quite gotten my brain around that game. Like most of my time with that game is like I start off in a reef, I swim around, I find a new reef to take over. Whatever fish is guarding that reef just completely destroys me. And then I do it again, because like you slowly get stronger in that game, but like there's no real indication of like, are you going up against like 3 super tough submarines or like a small school of sardines. You just never know. And then and I got totally like a great white shark just pushed my poop in. I was not even trying to fight a great white shark. I was trying to fight those like lantern fish with the big teeth and the lantern. I went real deep down. There was a bunch of them, and they don't have a lot of HP, but they have, very fast firing weapons. So they managed to take out my whole school of other fish. And then I'm just desperately like fleeing to try and like lick my wounds and try this again. And then I swam right into a great white shark. And then he shot lasers at me too, because everything just shoots lasers at you in this game. Like there is a melee attack, but I love like biting the fish, but it doesn't happen all that often. Ace of Seafood, everyone.
All right, nice. It's Colony Wars meets Seaman. Again, that was my back of the box quote.
It's bizarre, but no, the real game I've been playing is Into the Breach. I got back into the Breach, even though Steam has cloud saves, and Into the Breach supposedly is cloud save compatible. Because around I think November. I hadn't been paying attention, but sometime back in November, it became available on Mac. So I was like, even though it was a pretty decent game to play on the arcade cabinet, the arcade cabinet in my house is like right below where the baby sleeps, and he's not sleeping well anyway because he's got like teeth popping out of his gums. It's very H.R. Giger. Uh, but so I was very excited to move this over to the Mac. And I'm like, oh, it's got a cloud save. And okay, Steam Cloud Save is the most ridiculously difficult thing that thinks it's easy out there, because it's all like, oh, it's just, because I had started the game before I knew it, so I'm like, how do I was really worried that I was accidentally gonna like sync my like Mac save over my PC save that was way far in advance, but like there's no options for anything. You just click a box and then supposedly it will work. Well, I spent about an hour like walking back and forth between the two computers, like syncing and unsyncing and trying to figure out how to do it. Finally, I realized the save is just saved in a folder on the computer. So I put it on a thumb drive and just walked it over. Yeah.
So,
but
yeah, your plan.
So back into the breach, and that remains an extremely fun game. Still, I was talking about it as one of my top games of 2018, and that was what got me back into it.
So does it give you a generated? I mean, are these plan levels, or are these like kind of randomly generated levels, or what scenarios?
They are slightly randomly generated. Like the actual like grids and enemy spawns are randomly generated, but like there are like set things like most levels will have like certain hazards, and those are all kind of the same. So it's a mix of things that are predictable and not, but it doesn't like, it's randomized enough to keep you from being able, because you don't like, if there was no random elements, eventually you would just be able to just stomp the aliens all the time, because you would know which squares they were going to be in and which squares the next ones were going to pop up in. But had a really fun time with one of the big reason that I was trying to get my save to carry over, said like last time I had played the game, I had just unlocked like a new squad of mechs, which is the Steel Judoku. I don't know. They're a judo themed like series of mechs. So like the one is a big sumo wrestler that has a lot of damage resistance. Like he can take one free hit every turn basically. So even if you can't think of anything to like really effective to do with him, you can always just stand him in the way of an enemy attack and take the hit. And his actual attack is to pick the enemy up and huck them behind him. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with them, and then unlocked the ice-themed guys, which I suck with. Like as far as the squads in the game go, there's like really easy ones that do a lot of like direct damage, and you just have to like play the game good enough to be able to keep upgrading your guys' damage to keep up with the increased enemy health as you go along through the campaign. And then there are the like weird squads that like do very little direct damage, but have lots of like powers to move enemies around on the board and like disrupt their positions. Like the judo guys' whole shtick is that they can push enemies in the way of other enemies' fire, and then those enemies will take extra damage from friendly fire. But the guys who freeze them cannot figure out the shtick. Because the guy, there's like an artillery thing. You shoot artillery at an enemy and it freezes them in ice. But it also freezes your guy in ice. And so then you have to spend another turn to unfreeze him unless he's going to get attacked by an alien anyway. It's confusing. Anyway, super fun game. Everyone should buy it. It's on Switch. Go play it.
All right, it's on Switch. All right, that's the other one. Oh right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of these people are calling it number one. Was it your number one game of the year?
It was number 2.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people were saying it was their number one game
Yeah, I think
of the year.
PC Gamer magazine made it. It was their number 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I see.
Though I guess a lot of the strategy game purists think they're like this is strategy game for babies.
Kind of right. A little bit.
Well, I mean, I guess yeah, it's like I guess you're not
It's only 8
entirely
by 8.
wrong because it is like for people like me who are like strategy games are too hard. I'm like I love this game.
Well, have you seen these these King Crusaders or these like where you have like each zone of Europe or whatever? I mean that's pretty nuts.
No,
That's
I just
hardcore.
like I tried playing Civilization once, and I think like the match lasted 24 hours, and I lost, and then I was done with that game.
And you're like, the only way I'm spending 24 hours doing this shit is if I'm actually Abraham Lincoln, not the real one, not this fucking bullshit. All right.
Okay, so that just reminded me of a random thing. We'll end the show on. I saw a thing about there's a meme, the civilization of like angry nuclear Gandhi is apparently like a thing. Like everyone
yeah.
makes jokes about Gandhi being
because in the original, well, number 2 or whatever, it was a glitch, and like he always wanted to do nuclear bombs because it was a glitch in his stats or something like that.
Yeah, because he has the lowest aggression. Like once you get nukes, like it was something like once you get nukes, like it lowers your aggression by 1 or something. Like once you get them or something like that. But anyway, it was like once Gandhi gets nukes, it accidentally like pushed him to under 0, and it went around to the other side and made him maximum.
It's like an integer or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's it. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had a
Gandhi
specific.
nuked you because of math.
Oh yeah. Anything like that in Enter the Breach is the code. Is the code secure?
It seems pretty rock solid.
All right. Well, I guess. Well, you hear about the Fallout? The no one was able to nuke over Christmas or whatever. So I guess that's like the opposite.
Yeah, some weird glitch like stopped all nuclear weapons from working, and it's like whatever.
And everyone had the most fun in their life in that game or something.
Well, you know how the nukes work in that game. You don't actually use them against other players.
Oh, I don't know.
It's the nukes are just like you launch a nuke at an area, and then it just makes that area high-level monsters. So it's just a way to unlock high-level enemy content.
I see.
Yeah. Like it's not a weapon, which is weird.
Oh, well, another nice design choice on that game again. So, all right, I shouldn't talk. I've not played the game. All right, so we do have one viewer as we are ending the show right now. So go ahead and go back and review the show as we finish it up. So, all right. So again, spread the show, share it on all your different platforms, and yeah, if you do want to actually watch the show, go ahead and go to YouTube and look up Chris Frank Games. You'll see a recording of the show with some pretty graphics. So there you go. All right. So for Frank Wyatt, my name is Chris Stotts. It's Chris Frank Games. Enjoy the new year, everyone. Happy 2019. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
And also the one guy.
Yep. Bye-bye, fan. Bye-bye.